through. Or as many of these steps as you possibly can. It's kind of like, has anybody here bought a house? You know what professional realtors are like? Do they sort of drive you up in front of the house and say, go have a look and get back to me after you're finished looking? No. What do? They take you through each room of the house. They're not sure what's going to hit your hot button. They're not sure what's going to catch your attention. You might like the decks. We have 5 decks at our house. First thing you better show me is your deck if you want to get my attention. So these are really different rooms of your exposure house. These are the basics. And then you want to do these other ones. Most of you know about these. 3-way calls, conference calls, webinars. You can have a juice party, events, convention. And your goal is to run as many people as possible through all of those different parts of the exposure process. Some will go part way, with the ultimate goal being convention right here. You guys got the ultimate exposure, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you like to have another 10,000 people here of your own next year? Somebody at another, Cindy Samuelson said, write down how many people you're bringing to convention and give that on a piece of paper to your upline. Somebody's got 30. Who's got 30 in here they're going to bring next year? 30? Oh, okay. So the exposure process, think of it as kind of like a funnel. You got a lot of people getting info packs, going to your website, and only a couple going to come out in convention, right? What's your story? Everybody has a story. And I think your story is the most powerful thing you've got. How many people here think they have a good product story? How many people think they have a good business story? Oh, that's pretty good. But you notice there's a lot less, right? So your story is the most powerful thing that you've got. And it'll have the most impact on people that you talk to. Your why is part of your story. The reason you want to do this is part of your story. Your story could be that I've already got a $500 a month income coming in after a year of residual. It could be that I've got 50 people in my group already. I can't believe what's happening. It could be within 10 days, 90%. You heard my story. I've given that 1,000 times. Step 4 is then write down an elevator story. What the heck is an elevator story? Well, at the most, right? I mean, an elevator is like you get in on the ground floor and you got to be able to give the story by the time you get to the 10th floor. 20-second presentation. So make your story. Write it up. And make it short. What were you doing before? What are you doing now? How has it affected your life? What is your why? Why did you get involved in this? How long have you been in? What was your product result? And get it down to where you can give it like that. I have longer stories. I can expand my product story. But that's enough, right? So step 4 is write an elevator story. And get it down to where it's yours. Lady went to 5K in 37 days and she said this is the key to her business. Have fun, tell your story, and let the juice do the work. And then she used some tools. But it was all about telling her story, what her excitement was, the people she ran into, and the juice will get people excited. So how many people have decided to become a premier in here, huh? What do you think? Have you decided? Are you sure? Okay. Well, it's easy to sit in this room and decide, but what I like to say is, you got to make that decision every single day. Every day you have to get up in the morning and decide that you're a premier and you're going to do the things that premiers do, right? Doesn't that make sense? If you decided to become a premier, you better start doing what they do. So what do? What do premiers do? Anybody know? They meet people and they talk to people. They support their downline. What else do? They're persistent, so they don't give up at the drop of a hat. What else do? They work on themselves. What else? Travel. Premiers travel a lot. What else? They study. They try to learn. Come on, there's more stuff. What else? They look to teach. They know their product. They listen. Okay. I want you to start making a list here. I want you to make a list of anything that we talk about here that makes sense to you. Okay? If you think a premier does Any of those things you heard, write them down. Make a list of what premiers do. And I'm going to go through. And if you like any of these things on here, write them down. They take responsibility for their business, don't they? They don't think their upline's going to build it, and they don't count on their downline to build it. You're the CEO of $1 million business. It's up to you. Somebody covered this one pretty good. Consistent, persistent. They talk to people, right? They'd always be sponsoring new people, wouldn't they? What about this? Nobody mentioned that. They invested in their business. You guys invested money to come out here, didn't you? They do three-way calls, don't you think? You think premiers do three-way calls? Obviously, they know, you guys all have premier potential, don't you? I mean, you guys are all premiers because you know the power of events. Maybe you create your own events. Maybe you have your own juice party, right? Premiers follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up. We kind of talked about that, what Terry did to cement our business. They only work one program. I can tell you that there's nobody that I've ever met in 20 plus years that can actually work two network marketing opportunities and build them both at the same time. Invariably what happens is they start one, they stop that one, and they think, the greatest con out there in the industry is, this one's complementary. You could do this alongside what you're ever doing. Those guys are focus stealers, is what they are. They will steal your focus. And the next thing you know, you don't have your focus on your Zango business, you got it on something else, and it happens at the drop of a hat. They only work one program. It takes a tremendous amount of will and focus to hit premium.